All right, let's talk a little bit about images today. Images on pretty much every web page, from mobile web pages, full desktop web pages, you name it. We pretty much have it on all of our web pages, all of our websites. Images are very, very popular on the internet. Now let's go ahead and start playing around with them. All right, here's how the image tag works. Okay, all you have to do in your browser to open up an image is this. It's a self-closing tag. It's called image, and then the source of the image, and that's it. Okay, pretty simple. The source of the image is where that file is located. If it's a file that's out on the internet, it would be its full web address. Like, for example, http colon forward slash forward slash, google.com logo dot png. Okay, just using that as an example. So that's on an external site. That's the URL for that. If we have something local, for example, I have a folder called images, and inside that folder I have a Chadron State logo. Um, Here's how you would get to that. Images forward slash logo.png. That's the name of the file. Okay, let's open up our images. And what you'll see is I actually have that image displayed. Okay. All right. So that's our basic syntax. The other thing that we usually will put in, because there are some people who, a few different reasons for this. We have alternative text put in for screen readers for people who are blind and can't see. We would put in a description for them. If the image can't load for some reason, the file is missing or it's broken or the browser can't render it, whatever, we have some alternative text there, which is a very brief description of the the image. So I'll just say the CSC logo. Okay, refresh the page. It comes up just fine. So we don't display the alternative text by default. If I hover over it, though, it should, depending on your browser, it should give you a description that says CSC logo, and it may not, which is okay. Now, let's say, for example, the file that I'm trying to load can't load, then what it'll pop up is your alternative text here that says CSC logo. All I did to get that is I just left the PNG. Here's something you need to be very, very, very aware of with images, is that your file name has to be identical on your source here as it is in your folder that you have that file housed in. For example, depending on your browser, if I have logo.png in my computer, it is stored as all lowercase logo.png. If I have the suffix here, the extension in caps, it may not load. Okay, it depends on the web browser and the operating system, but do not, whatever you do, don't take that. Don't assume that even if the extension is in lower or uppercase and it doesn't match, that it will load, because it will not do that on all browsers. Okay, so you just need to make sure those match. All right, so we went over the images syntax, went over the alt attribute, talked a little bit about screen readers. The next thing we need to look at is the width and height, and that's pretty easy to do, to set the width and height here. There are a couple different ways you can do this. You can use the style attribute to specify the width and height of an image. So, for example, let's say, I'm not exactly sure what this image is here. It looks like it is 280 by 160. So let's say we want to resize this image to be a little bit bigger. Maybe what we can do is, and you can do either width or height, or width and height, it doesn't matter. It can be in pixels, it can be in percentages. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. So after my alternative text here, I'll just type in width. Let's say I want to make this 400 pixels wide. Okay, and then my height would be automatically determined by that to keep it in within scale. refresh the page, you'll see that my image is a little bit bigger. Let's say I'm going to set my width to 50%. Make the image half the size here. Okay, negative 50%. If I want to go 150%, I want to make it a lot bigger. Then you know, it'll be huge. Okay. Again, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. I'll just set this to 250 pixels and leave it there, so it's manageably sized. Or let's even go 400 pixels. Why not? There, nice and big, but not crazy, because we're going to be doing some other stuff here. All right. So I can set my width, my height to whatever. If I set my width to be, 400 pixels, and it'll adjust the height accordingly. Same thing if I adjusted the height. All right. So both the width, the height, and the style attributes are valid in this latest version of HTML5. But one of the things that they suggest, and I have to admit myself that I still kind of use the older style, probably because it's been around forever. But to be more in line with what we want in the latest version of HTML, what we can do here is we can just set the style using the style attribute. And what this will do basically is it'll change, or prevent, I should say, your CSS rules from changing your image attributes by default. Okay, so I'm going to copy my code. I'm going to paste it. Let's do a line break in between. Just give ourselves a little more room. And I'm going to say this. Style equals. And then we're going to say width. Let's go 200 pixels. Nice and small. Okay. And what you'll see is that I have a nice small image. Okay. Now, with your images, you can keep images in this same folder as your pages. I don't recommend that because it just gets cluttered. What I do recommend is that you create an images folder and you place your images within there for your projects and for your assignments that you'll be doing. Because it just removes the clutter. It's the standard way to do it. It's just something that you want to do. And if you have images on another server instead of what we show here, where it says images logo.png, let's go find let's do another line break here. Let's go find an image on the internet real quick. Here we go. We're going to view the image. Let's shorten that image. Copy. Okay. Go back to my page. All right. So here's my image. Okay. And I'm going to say, for my alternative text, I'm going to say American flag. And I'm going to set that width to 200 pixels. Refresh my page. And I should have an American flag there. Okay. Let's do that. We'll say American flag, 200 pixels. Okay, so that is an image on another server. And if I wanted to use that image as a link, here's how I would go by doing that. Well, I'm going to actually do that right here. I'm going to say ahref. Okay. And I'm going to say, let's go out to whitehouse.gov. Okay, I don't know, just making stuff up here. Now, what I have here is I'm going out to the White House. Okay, and put my image there in the middle, close out my A tag. Learn how to type. Okay, if I click on my flag, it should take me to the White House. White House's website. Okay, pretty easy to do. If I want to put a border around it, I can do that too. For example, oops. Here we go. Well, I can't really see that well. Let's set it to 5 pixels. There you go. Black border around here. Okay. I click on it, goes out to the White House. Well, we'll leave a border there. Why not? Okay. If another thing I can do is I can do what's called image floating. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to set up a heading. We'll just go along with this American flag. Okay, got an H2 size heading, says American flag, and then I'm going to go ahead and copy my code from up here that I just did, and then do a paragraph that says this is the first American flag. Isn't it grand? And it is very cool. Okay, here's what I'm going to see. I'm going to see an H2 size heading, my link, my image link here for the American flag, and then a paragraph underneath it that says, you know, this first American flag, isn't it grand? Okay, that's default. Now, let's go ahead and float this to the, well, let's go ahead and go to the left. Okay, so in my style here, all I need to do is type in float, colon, and then if I want it to left or right or wherever I want to float it to. Okay, now what I'll see here is that my text now floats to the left. If I had a paragraph, it would float, and then at the end it would just go on as normal. If I had that over and over again, I'll show you real quick. And then I'll delete all these extra lines text out. This just basically what I'm doing is I'm giving you an example that shows how it floats to the left here, the image does, to the left of the text, and then after it's done, it just continues on as normal. All right. That is how that works. All right, so let's go recap this puppy, and we'll move on to our next video. We use our HTML image tag, and that helps us to define our images. Okay, right here. This is where our image exists, our alternative text, and any CSS styling we want to use. You're going to want to play around with this styling because you're going to be using it a lot. Okay? Width and height properties, those guys determine, again, how wide it is, how tall it is. If we want to float, what we do here is we just say, you know, if we want the image to float to the left or the right of the text. And that is pretty much it for images, for basic stuff. So as always, if you have any questions, just let me know as soon as possible and I'll help you out. Thanks.